Friends, we are talking about a new type of warfare. Now, I've been experiencing lawfare, as some of you have described it, because of the slimy public serpents that are basically lying to the judge. And I don't know if he cares about that, but I care about that. So many of you said, Peggy, that's a type of warfare against you. They're trying to wear you down. And I want to thank all of you who have been sending me your support, your donations, your prayers, your words of encouragement. And I will be sending out my thank you letters to all of you that are supporting me. And remember, you can also get on our private Q&A webinar for all of the supporters, all of the donors, those who have a paid Substack subscription or a paid subscription to peggyhall.tv. You're invited to our monthly live Q&A webinar, and that is the last Saturday of every month. Those are also recorded, so if you can't make it live, you can watch them. You do not want to miss the one that we did on Saturday. Because it's not public, we tell it like it is in terms of nothing is off limits. So we answer the questions as they come in. Pastor David is on board with me. And it was great because we also talked about critical thinking. And that's what we need to apply at this situation at hand. All right. I was wrong. I thought that in California, the governor was going to call another emergency after an earthquake. I was pretty darn sure that there would be an, how do I put it, engineered, orchestrated earthquake in California so that the governor, who loves nothing more than to be in a state of emergency, and he ended the Cooties emergency a couple of days ago, and he could not wait to call another emergency. It wasn't for an earthquake. It was for these blizzard-like conditions, the avalanches, and the horrible atrocities that are happening because of this, as they call it, unprecedented snowfall that we're having. How in the world we can still be in a drought when we have these record-breaking snowfalls, and we've also had record-breaking rain. And I know you'll tell me that the water tables and the snowpack, no, I don't buy it. Okay. There's no drought. We have plenty of water, always have, always will. In fact, we need to use more water, and we need to bring in more of a green environment. What they did in California is they tried to turn it back to a desert by encouraging everybody, paying everybody to rip out their grass, which gives off oxygen. All right. It cleans out the carbon dioxide out of the air, and to replace the grass with rocks. Yes. So not only are they stripping the air of oxygen, but they are also creating a visual blight, because beauty is not allowed in communism. So it's kind of a 1-2 punch what they do in California, and they create these conditions. And then good old PG&E, well, not with the drought, with the water companies and the water service that we have here, of course, then they jack up their prices and they don't want us to use the water, which is kind of a paradox. And then when it comes to these snowstorms, yes, PG&E is in on it again. So what I want to bring you to today is an on-the-scenes report from a dear friend of mine, Reinette Senum. Let me know in a comment if you know Reinette. She ran for governor in California, and I was actually a supporter of her campaign. Let's see who we've got going here. She lives right in the heart of where all this is happening right now with the snow. And she has a Substack. And in fact, let me just take you right on over. We'll look at this together, shall we? And my heart goes out to all of those that are suffering. And there's something more afoot here. And then I'm also going to share with you the governor's proclamation and a couple of important things that I want to point out in terms of the emergency. As I stated, the governor declared the emergency over, but I never saw anything that was signed and stamped and filed with the Secretary of State. So as far as I'm concerned, it's still going on. It's certainly still going on in the county of Orange, because they have to have a meeting to proclaim the termination of the emergency. Some of you were confused and you thought that's what my lawsuit was about. It was not about ending the emergency per se, although the law requires them to do so. It was about the county maintaining and upholding its statutory duties, its legal obligation to hold these meetings, regardless of how they vote. So it doesn't matter that the governor ended the emergency. The county still has to hold the meeting to vote on the ending of their own local health emergency. Why? Because they called a local health emergency, so they need to terminate their own local health emergency. Even the governor said that. And the county is so full of hot air, is that the term that comes to mind? That they either that or they're just imbeciles. All right, you just call it like I see it. So they're either incompetent or intentionally trying to snooker us, and probably a little bit of both. But the governor just loves these emergencies. So I knew that another one would happen. All right, without any further ado, let's hop right on over. And this is Reinette Senum foghornexpress.substack.com. Now there is a video here, which I don't think you'll be able to hear it because of my microphone setup, but there's Reinette, and many of you know her. As I say, she was the mayor twice of Nevada City, which is in the state of California. She's there right now, and she is giving an eyewitness account of what's going on. And I will read a little bit to you from her Substack, and I'm going to just go through a little bit to show you some of the footage that she has here, if I can get some of that footage. And what she is talking about is the number of trees that are down. Here's all the power outages in California, PG&E, all of these. So the green is people that have power, I believe, or no, the number of people affected. All of these people are affected. It's the number. The green is 1 to 49, and then it goes on and on. So tons of power outage all throughout the state. Trees that are falling down, and that's what I want to talk to you about, that this is not normal. So this excellent article that she has, I'm just going to highlight a couple of things. State of emergency declared in California. So Reinette states that geoengineering, falling trees, record snowfall, and why you haven't heard from me, because she's in the thick of it. So what she goes on to say that she's lived in that area for many, many years. In fact, I will just come off the screen share for a moment, and then I'll highlight a couple of the points. She's lived in that area. They've already removed any type of trees that are close enough that could fall on their property. People that live in that area are used to getting some snowfall from time to time, maybe 6 inches, maybe even 10 inches, but certainly not what they're getting now. And what Reinette is stating, having lived there most of her life and understanding the type of snow that they get, she is in what's called the Sierra foothills. So she's at 3,000 foot elevation. So yes, it is, mountainous, but she's not at the highest peak or anything like that. So they are used to getting snow, but nothing like this. In fact, I'm going to show you a couple more pictures here, and then I'll talk to you about what I agree with her on is what actually is going on here. So let me share my screen again and get this all queued up for you in just a moment here. Let me know in a comment below if you are in that area, if you know anyone that's in that area, if you have heard from people that might be, at risk. That's part of the issue as well, people that are kind of stuck in their homes. So I'm going to share my screen, and we will go right on over here to a news report. And what I want to show you are the pictures, actually. So here is, I'm just going to cover that up because I don't, okay. Stormy weather across Southern California continued causing destruction on Wednesday, downing trees and power lines. So look at this tree totally uprooted. This is what I want to draw your attention to. Here's more in the video. Look at how giant those roots are, and it completely was uprooted. These landslides that are happening, and I know you can see this video. Let me see if I can pause that. Look at the size of these trunks. Massive landslides happening, which and here we are with some of the trees. What Reinette was showing we'll go back to hers, in the snow, she said that these trees, and when you think about it, of course they are built for snow. They have withstood snowstorms for years. She's lived there for probably, I'm just going to say 40 years. They've withstood the snow all this time. Now, what the powers that shouldn't be are saying is that it's global swarming. And I say global, B-U-L-L. Now, I've done videos in the past, and I'm on the record to say that I'm all in favor of a clean, green environment, naturally, organically, with trees instead of rocks, and watering your grass instead of letting it go brown or even worse, as I say, because worse is worse than worse, putting in artificial grass, which is plastic and toxic. And people have been hoodwinked and swindled and snookered into, bamboozled into thinking that plastic grass is better for the environment. So all of these things, yes, they are contributing to some of what we're seeing, but certainly not at this scale. You know, and I know that there is, let me just say, man-made climate intrusion. That's a word that I like to use, but not for the reasons you think. And this is what Reinette talks about in her video and on her Substack. I hope that she will be able to come on for an interview this weekend where we can talk and she can share more about this. So she says, from the research that she's done, that these giant trees that normally would withstand the snowfall, even, 12 inches or 12 feet or whatever the case may be, it defies logic that these trees are going to be falling. And that tree that you saw was actually on her balcony. That came so close to her bedroom window, even though she had cleared the area. This was somebody else's tree that had fallen. So the idea is that these trees, because of all of the spraying in the air, that the aluminum and the barium and the phosphorus and everything else that they're spraying in the air that is going into the ground, that it is preventing the trees from taking up water, which is why you see a lot of trees that are dying and they are just falling over because they're actually brittle inside. They are not acting as they would normally because of what's going on with the spraying in the air. And so, yes, there is a man-made type of impact on the environment, but not the way that it's being peddled to us. And so when these trees now are so brittle that they just don't have the resilience and the thickness and the how, I don't know the whole ecosystem of a tree, but there are some lovely, healthy Americans that are experts in trees. And I have a forensic botanist or arborist who can look at trees and he can detect these patterns. And this is Robert, and I hope that he will be coming on with me. I'm long overdue for an interview with him. And also another lovely, healthy American that might remain anonymous that also has been studying the spraying in the air, and she has solutions. She is bringing forth ideas for legislative action. Now, you know, and I know that in California, that's not going to go too far unless we expose these evildoers for who they are and what they're doing. And my lovely, I don't want to name names. So someone I know actually has been emailing the county and the state and the air quality board in California demanding answers as far as who is spraying and what are they spraying in our air. And many people know what they are spraying because they have taken samples from their yards to have those tested. And we're seeing that aluminum, the barium, I believe it is, phosphorus, and other chemicals that are being sprayed in the air and spraying us like bugs, basically. And let's look at the bigger picture. California loves. And when I say California, I mean the serpents that are running it. They love their wildfires. And why do I say they love them? Well, because they let them burn out of control. They tell the fire department to stand down, and witnesses on the scene will say that they saw the fire trucks drive by, never stop. And what my understanding was, I was involved in I'll tell you the story in just a moment. It has a kind of a twist at the ending. So once I was involved in a fire, I was at my family home, childhood home, visiting, and nobody else was there but me. And behind the house was a big ravine, and there was a small fire that started. I don't know how it started in that ravine, and I guess there's about a dozen houses on that block, and people were calling 911. Well, it happened to be right behind our house. And I remember that the fire truck parked right in front of our house, opened the front door, said, or they came to the front door, said, "Get your car out of the driveway. We're coming through with the hose." And they literally brought the fire hose right through the house. Well, I was in a panic, and I moved the car actually, this might have happened before the fire truck arrived, because I thought, oh, a good thing that I have all of my favorite photos and journals in this box, because I can just grab it and put it in the car. And I grabbed all the animals and I put them in the car across the street. So we were all safe in the car. The firemen came and they put out the fire. And that's the other thing. They put out the fire. And they said that their number one goal is the protection of life and property. Are you with me? The number one goal is the protection of life and property, not the whatever else. So the fact, when people told me that fire trucks were going by and they were not stopping to protect the life and property, that was really strange. And then other eyewitnesses in the big fires in Malibu and Ventura, which is, a few hours from where I am. And in San Diego, there were other fires where witnesses said the fire trucks did not appear. So that's why I say that the state of California, the serpents running California, love their fires and they love to see them burn. The twist to the story is, after the fire was put out behind our house, I was so relieved. I put the animals back in the house and I thought, oh, I'm so glad that I have this box of pictures that I saved. And I opened up the box and they were all old receipts and bank statements. I had grabbed the wrong box. So, little kind of twist on that story, but my heart goes out to all of those that lost their homes, their loved ones, their pets, their belongings in these fires that I believe were not natural. And I did several videos about that. The fire patterns, the burn patterns, the physics of fire, what we saw with porcelain just turned to dust, and stucco built homes are designed not to burn. They're not made out of wood. And red tile roofs, ceramic roofs, that's why they're made out of ceramic, because they don't burn. And you would see all of this obliterated, and people said it was like a war zone. It was like a bomb went off. It did not follow traditional fire burn patterns. Fire burns in a predictable way, and it goes from the bottom to the top, and it actually moves a certain way. And I'm not an expert in this, but I studied it enough to know at what temperature a house fire burns, and it does not burn hot enough to melt glass and to melt brick. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to have a fire in your fireplace. So the same thing is happening now with these winter storms. To me and to others, it doesn't look right. Okay, I've lived in California all my life. A few years I lived in Morocco and so forth, but it just defies any type of weather pattern. And I believe that they do it this way so that it feeds into the notion of global swarming, so that they can have more restrictive regulations. California is number one in the world when it comes to green restrictions, and all sorts of additional taxes and regulations and strangulations for businesses and even just consumers. Like, there are certain things I cannot buy from another state. They will not ship it to California because it will cause cancer. And it's like, yeah, right. My little coffee mug that I want hand painted from an artist in Nevada, I can't get shipped to California. So there's all sorts of strangulation and regulation in California. And then they're just going to ramp it up, saying, look, they're going to point to these storms saying, look at how bad you are for drinking a glass of water with a straw and using a plastic grocery bag. It's all your fault. And and I'm not even joking, because those are some of the rules here, some of the laws in California. And then all of the cattle ranchers, they're probably going to say you can only have 10, head per herd or something. I promise you, friends, that is going to happen. So I think that is one of the things that they're going to jack up all of these ridiculous regulations in California to say, we've got to do it because look what happened in this snow, in these winter storms. The other thing that they're doing is they're getting federal aid. And that's why the governor loves emergencies, because he gets aid from the government and from the federal government. And then he also can exert his executive powers and with a wave of his hand become a dictator again. So I knew it. And I know you knew it as well, didn't you? You knew it, that there would be another emergency right on the heels of cooties. I thought it would be a fake, phony, fraudulent earthquake that would be orchestrated, but they can create weather. And then the other thing that ties into this hand in hand is PG&E. And my lovely Reinette points that out. She has a very interesting snippet on her video. I will leave a link for you where she talks about PG&E was formed in 1905 right down the street from her house. And PG&E is referred to, it's like General Motors was to Michigan, right? It was like everything to Michigan and how powerful it was. And that's PG&E in California. It basically has its finger in every part of everywhere in California. They are a monopoly. The Rothschilds used to be on the board until 2019, when he resigned, right when PG&E went into bankruptcy, so that they wouldn't have to pay all of the people who had their houses damaged in the fires, which I believe they pinned on PG&E. I don't think that they actually were liable for it. I think it's a different organization, and it sounds like a beautiful stringed instrument spelled HAARP. I have to do this to outsmart the algorithm. And I also believe because of, I'll just spell it out, DEW. You can research that with Raytheon and Northrop Grumman, and you can see all about this microwave energy. Now, they probably realized that we, the people in California, were on to them, and they couldn't keep these fake, well, they're not fake, they were real fires, but they couldn't keep these fires going the way they had because so much came out about it. The Paradise Fire, the Camp Fire. I've spoken about how horrible it is that they've coined these fires with those names, taking away what would be nice images, Paradise, Campfire, and they've ruined them by taking control of the language. I think that they know that we are onto them, and they probably thought that doing a winter storm would be something that people would not realize that they could orchestrate. That's what I believe. So again, I'm not an expert in this area, but I am an expert in asking questions. So I want to know how trees can be toppling over and over and over again suddenly, when they didn't do it for all these, maybe once in a while, but not a pattern like it is now. And why was there so much snow dumped in one area? And again, all these people are out of power. So what's going to happen? PG&E already is going to raise the rates. We already have the highest utility rates by 2/3. You know what I'm talking about? That means if you're spending 20 cents per kilowatt hour, I'm spending 60 cents per kilowatt hour in California. And they just put in for another raise of their rates. So PG&E is a monopoly. They provide the electricity and the natural gas for most of California. They also want to demonize natural gas. Now, there were a lot of I don't know about a lot, but there were some fires that broke out. Many people did speak on the news about smelling gas. And I believe that that is also playing right into their narrative of getting rid of natural gas in California. They're telling you that stoves, that a gas stove is causing asthma for your neighbor down the street. Like, are they in my kitchen? So it's very bizarre, this, common good, and you're at fault for everybody else, and you're responsible for all of their well-being. Hey, I would love, I'm going to sneeze. Is that legal? Are the cooties police going to show up and arrest me? I don't think sneezing is legal anymore in California. So I'm telling you, friends, it plays right into the hands of getting rid of natural gas. It plays into the hands of increasing the electricity prices because they're going to say they have to for all of these repairs. It's terrorism on the people. All right. And I hope that Reinette will be back online very shortly so that she can be in a video interview with me, maybe on Monday. I hope so. And in the meantime, I will leave a link for you so that you can see her eyewitness footage. You can hear the concern in her voice, and you can read her excellent analysis of what is going on when you see her Substack. So let's see who we have here, friends. Yes, it's absolutely stunning. Okay. People are talking about, yes, quantitative disease. I'm so glad you brought this up. Now, I don't know Dane Wigington, other than he has a YouTube channel and it's called Geoengineering, and he does a lot of coverage on this. But quantitative disease brings up a very good point. He says he's great, but I think he would be more effective if he didn't take the global swarming stance because it's so divisive. You're absolutely right. Now, I do not fault people. I want to hear all perspectives. Where I draw the line is where somebody says, no, I'm not willing to dig deeper. Right? I don't want to learn about that. No. CO2 is destroying our earth, and that's it. That's where I draw the line. I don't like the hard stance that people take, and they're not willing to look beneath the surface there. Many people contacted me through private email saying, Peggy, I used to be in favor of reproductive rights, but after hearing from you and listening to your point of view, I really had a change of heart. So I applaud people that are willing to do so. Yesterday, I did a video called, 2 videos, the biggest lies that we've been told and more lies that we've been told. And there were so many lies, I couldn't cover them all. And we'll be doing a deep dive into each of those lies over the next several videos coming up over the next several weeks, because there's so much to look at. And one of the things I talked about is how difficult it is for people to change their point of view. They don't want to believe, number one, that they could have been lied to. And then number two, maybe this is actually number one, they don't want to think to themselves like, I can't believe I was duped. That's really hard. It takes a person of strong character to be willing to be open-minded and say, you know what, I really think that the earth is being destroyed because of cars and too much CO2. So what have you got to show me differently? I applaud that. That takes strength of character. So I don't want to malign anyone. I know I can come off as quite strident sometimes in my views, but I don't want to malign anyone. I just offer for people to look at the facts. And one of the facts is that CO2 is the molecule of life. We need it for life to thrive. Just like the cooties brigade, the hogwashers told us that breathing oxygen was unhealthy. I mean, come on, you know that was wrong. So you just need to be open to looking at all of the data, not just the data that the hogwashers allow you to see. So yes, I was very concerned about Dane Wigington's, and he'll kind of sneak it in too, which I thought was a little bit like, I didn't like that either. So that's what I have to say about that. I don't know him. I think there's a lot of good info, and I think it's always important that we are open-minded and also dig a little deeper. All right. I'm going to take a look at your comments, friends, and I'll be addressing those in an upcoming video. Very interesting comments here. Patricia liked Dane's movie called The Dimming. So Patricia, go back and watch it and see if you can find anything now that you are aware that he believes that it's not only man-made, but there's also global swarming. Go back and see if he talks about that a lot, or if it kind of flew under the radar. I would be interested. I took a look at that myself some time ago. Okay. Okay, friends, I think I'm going to wrap up there. Yes, I had the smart meter taken out of my home. Candy is asking about that. And I had mine swapped out. And so that's something that I also recommend. Yes, Patricia knows we need CO2. It feeds our plants. I talked a lot about that. We'll do a deep dive on that coming up soon. So thank you everybody for being on board. I love seeing all the regulars. There's Michael and Marcia, and Who Am I has shown up, and Rhonda. We have a couple of Rhondas, and Lori, Candy, welcome on board, Jennifer, and let's see, so many. Shelly, great to have you here. All right. Rhonda on board as our moderator, Valerie as well. Would everybody give them a round of applause? These lovely, healthy Americans donate their time to come here to keep our stream flowing in the live stream, to encourage you, to send you links. And they are on board with truth. And I just could not do it without you, friends. So I really appreciate you, Valerie. Rhonda, from the very beginning, she also helps me with my thank you notes, and all of those who have supported me. You will be getting my word of thanks. I could not do it without you. All right, signing off for now. I need to tell you, tomorrow is Saturday, but I talked to Pastor David. He's going to come on board with me. We'll be here live, and we are going to talk about one of the biggest lies ever. You did not come from slime. All right. Divine. You are divine, not slime. And that is going to be what we're talking about tomorrow. So if you want to know about evolution, if you want to know about the lack of evidence for evolution, this is Pastor David's area of expertise. He has like an advanced certificate, postgraduate studies in all of this creation science. You are going to, he's not a scientist, but he's like a scientist because he studied all of this from all different perspectives. And he will tell you that what is described in the Bible has never been disproven in terms of science. Not that we care about the science, but also in terms of logic. So you are going to want to tune into this show. Special episode for you tomorrow, Divine, Not Slime, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and get on my free Substack. I usually do an article or two a week. It is a written format, a deep dive of some of these topics, and it's very easy to share, because sometimes people don't want to sit and watch a video. So that's another great way of sharing the info. All right, friends, always great to have you on board. And then I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow in our Divine Not Slime special episode.